High Definition News for Friday, December 5th, 2014. I'm Jeff Kaufman.
The tragic losses of these and far too many other Americans have really raised urgent national questions. And they have sparked an important conversation about the sense of trust that must exist between law enforcement and the communities that they serve and protect.
Attorney General Eric Holder on the impact of excessive force by police, mistrust, anger.
Black Lives Matter! Show me what democracy looks like! We can't breathe!
It's reflected in the street protests in New York this week after a grand jury declined to indict NYPD officer Daniel Pantaleo in the death of Eric Garner during an arrest for selling cigarettes without charging city tax, a misdemeanor. It's reflected in the outrage in Ferguson, Missouri, after a grand jury there found not enough evidence to charge Darren Wilson in the death of Michael Brown, who was unarmed and whose initial contact with the officer was as a result of jaywalking. It's reflected in the protests all across the country over what many see as the lack of consequences over the deaths of African Americans at the hands of police officers. Today, the focus shifts to the Cleveland Police Department. Cleveland is where 12-year-old Tamir Rice was killed in a police shooting on November 22nd. The video of this one went viral. Tamir was walking on the sidewalk next to a city park, pointing a gun at passersby. Somebody called 911.
And there was a guy and there was a pistol. It's probably fake, but he's like pointing it at everybody.
You heard the caller say the gun was probably fake.
It's probably fake, but he's like pointing it at everybody.
That information, that the gun might be fake, was not passed along to the police officers who were sent to the park. One of them was Timothy Lohman. His squad car screeched to a stop at the park. He jumped out, weapon drawn, and in less than 2 seconds, he opened fire and shot Tamir Rice dead. Tamir's weapon was a toy BB gun. Yesterday, the Justice Department released the results of its 2-year civil rights investigation of the Cleveland Police Department. It discovered a pattern of excessive force, of people being beaten, tasered, or pepper sprayed, even though they were already being detained. Unarmed people being shot, and people, like Tamir Rice, shot when they posed no threat. The cause, says U.S. Attorney Steve Dettelbach, is the same one that President Obama cited after Ferguson and New York. The same cause that many here in Southern California cited after the riots in 1992. A lack of engagement between predominantly white police departments and the communities of color that they serve.
We found, frankly, that sometimes a rubber stamp mentality or approach exists to these kinds of incidents of excessive force. And when accountability falters, trust also falters.
In L.A. yesterday, Police Chief Charlie Beck ruled that 2 of his officers were not acting within department policy when they shot to death an unarmed man a year ago this month. You may remember this case. It involved a high-speed chase that ended in the crash of the man's silver Corvette. He got out of his car and began moving away from the officers, though they later said they saw him reaching for his waist. The officers opened fire. 15 shots later, the man was dead. He had no weapon.
These are officers that did not get up that morning to come in and be involved in an officer-involved shooting. They are officers that did not perform to their training. And my obligation is to make sure that we set standards.
Beck says state law won't allow him to reveal what punishment the officers will receive. One more note on Chief Beck. He also weighed in yesterday on the growing number of sexual abuse allegations piling up against Bill Cosby. Many of the alleged incidents occurred decades ago, and the statute of limitations may have run out on any criminal charges. But Chief Beck says if any of the women who've come forward ask the LAPD for help, the department will investigate, expired statute of limitations or not. Beck says that would be true of any crime involving sex. There's good news on the economy from the Labor Department. 321,000 new jobs were created in this country last month. That's the most new jobs in a single month in more than 3 years. And there's more. 86,000 of them were what are considered high-quality professional jobs. So far, 2014 is the best year for job creation since 1999. So how come the unemployment rate stayed the same in November as it was in October, 5.8%? That's because more people returned to the labor force last month, so once again, they are being counted in the unemployment rate. And how come to a lot of people it does not feel so much like boom times? That's because even though the average hourly wage was up 9 cents last month, that's the biggest gain in 17 months. If you take the past 12 months, hourly pay is up only 2.1%. Even with an annual inflation rate of 1.7%, 2.1% is barely keeping your head above water. That's why to a lot of people, all this good economic news doesn't feel all that good. They are feeling pretty good at NASA right now.
10,
the igniters have been lit.
9, 8, 7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff at dawn, the dawn of Orion. and a new era of American space exploration.
It's a test of the rocket and capsule that NASA hopes will carry astronauts to Mars in 2021. No astronauts aboard today, though. This was a hardware run-through. Just a quick up and back 4.5 hours. Orion flew 3,600 miles above the Earth. That's 15 times farther than the space station. After 2 Earth orbits, Orion's capsule re-entered the atmosphere and survived temperatures of 4,000 degrees. Splashdown was about 8:30 this morning Pacific time in the Pacific, a couple hundred miles southwest of San Diego.
100 feet. We have splashdown. Splashdown confirmed. Orion is back on Earth, and we now have confirmation that Orion is stable 1, upright.
Next test flight is scheduled for 2018. Back on Earth, in the land where the car has always been king, they are about to do something they have never done before: rip out a freeway. San Francisco bulldozed the Embarcadero and Central freeways after the Loma Prieta quake, but a freeway-ectomy here in SoCal? Never. Till now. The Terminal Island Freeway in West Long Beach became mostly obsolete with the development of the Alameda Corridor, so it's coming down. Now, what to put in its place? If you want to help shape the answer, Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia says you should go to tomorrow's community meeting on the subject. It's at 10 a.m. at Silverado Park, 31st and Santa Fe Avenues in Long Beach. The Grammy nominations are out. Well, some of them anyway. The Recording Academy is trying something new this year. Instead of announcing them all at once, they're tweeting one category at a time over the course of about 9 hours. And the Emmy for Bad Ideas goes to... Here's what we know so far. If you're not yet tired of hearing this...
Won't you stay with me? 'Cause you're all I need.
Just wait. Sam Smith's Stay With Me is up for Record of the Year.
Won't you stay with me?
Song of the Year.
Won't you?
And Pop Solo Performance. His album, In the Lonely Hour, got a nomination for Best Pop Vocal Album, and Smith himself is up for Best New Artist, along with Bastille, Iggy Azalea, Brandy Clark, and Haim. Smith is in the lead so far with those 5 nominations. They'll wrap it up around 6 p.m., and then you'll have to wait till February 8th to see who wins. Here's some catch-up for your Friday breakfast. This is some of what might have got past you since yesterday. From the High Definition News Data Desk. After this week's rain, are you wondering if you should still pay attention to calls to conserve water? Well, first, rain in Southern California does not really have much impact on the drought because most of the water we drink and use for irrigation and everything else comes from Northern California and the Colorado River, and the situation in those places is still at crisis levels. But if you need more proof that the current drought is a record breaker, the American Geophysical Union has it for you. The scientists have crunched temperature records, studied soil samples, and looked at tree rings, and they've concluded that the drought California is in right now is the worst in 1,200 years. You heard right, 1,200 years. This drought has been going on for 3 years. The study found that in the 1,200-year period, almost half of the droughts that lasted 3 years went on for another 1 or 2 after that. The researchers say that while there have been times when there was less rain and snow in California than there was this year, what makes the current drought more severe than all the others is the lack of precipitation combined with rising temperatures connected with global climate change. There is a cougar on the loose in the hills above Beverly Hills. And no, it's not one of those Real Housewives. It's a mountain lion, spotted near Mulholland above Beverly Park. Pretty sure there are not supposed to be any mountain lions in those hills. Where's that checklist we keep around? Oh, here it is. Let's see, Beverly Hills.
Swimming pools, movie stars.
That's what I thought. No mountain lions. National Park Service Ranger Kate Kuykendall says the cougar needed to cross the 405 to get where it was seen.
There is a possibility that this could be one of the kittens of another lion that we're tracking. And when mountain lions are about 1 year to 1.5 years old, they leave their mom and they disperse, kind of like when a teenager goes off and leaves mom from home. And they're looking for new territory. So that could be this particular kitten.
There's been only one sighting. The big cat was captured on camera by Christopher Seals. And because this is Hollywood, why, yes, he is related. His dad is Jim Seals of Seals and Crofts.
Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind.
One more thing. This is not the same mountain lion that scientists named P22. That cat made people who live near Griffith Park nervous a couple of months ago. Now you know what we know.
Y'all come back now. Here.
I'm Jeff Kaufman, High Definition News.